after discussing week 5 section 1, which was culture, different components of Indian culture, we will now talk about values underlying Indian culture. When we talk about value, value is derived from the Latin word valere, meaning to be strong, to prevail, or to be of worth. Social scientists state that there are almost 180 different definitions of the word values. So values, what does values mean? Values means to be strong, to prevail, or to be worth. A value is something we believe is long lasting. It influences the way in which we do things and what we hope to achieve. For example, when we say hard work is a value, for example, you identify with the value which is hard work, then it is something which you believe in, that is something which you do and you work hard at it. So, you as a person consider hard work as a value. It is something which you believe in, and whatever you do, you will do hard work for it. And doing hard work would be on the basis of if you are working in the office or even if you are working at home and so on. For you, hard work is a value and you will stick to it, and it is something you believe it, and it is something you will be doing it, performing it in your daily life. When we talk about values underlying Indian culture, we will talk about the relation between values and Indian Constitution. When we talk about the objectives stated in the preamble of the Indian Constitution, it clearly states, it clearly enunciates that the values of justice, liberty, equality, fraternity within a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So when we talk about the values underlying Indian Constitution, these are the values of justice, liberty, equality, fraternity within a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, which means that India is a democratic country. You elect your representatives, you have the right to vote, you are not forced to vote a particular person. You can select the candidates, you have the right to vote your elective representative, then you have your fundamental rights, you are treated equality, you are free to practice your religion, you are free to practice your faith, you are free to move within the boundaries of the country freely. Article 14 section 4 and Article 16 section 4 of the Indian Constitution aim at removing social and economic inequalities and ensure equal opportunities. Articles 14, 15, 16, 21, 38 and 39 and 46 are to make the quality of the life of the poor, disadvantaged and disabled citizens in the society meaningful. So, these are the values which are enshrined in the Constitution of India. When we talk about religion, India is a secular state and the citizens have the freedom to follow their own religion. This is the uniqueness, the beauty of India. India is a secular state. Everyone is free to practice their own religion, their faith. There is an atmosphere of religious tolerance and there is no official state religion. The four major religions are Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, which originated in India. Like I said, in spite of the majority of the Indian population being Hindus, India is a secular state. Everyone is free to practice their religion, their faith, and there is an atmosphere of religious tolerance. We have what is called unity and diversity, which is the uniqueness of Indian culture. When we talk about society, when we talk about family, family is a basic unit of society, and joint family system is mainly what can be seen to a large extent in Indian society. But however, now we have a lot of nuclear family setup which you can find existing, which is widespread. Indian society is mostly a patriarchal society in which the father is predominant, which means the father is the one who takes the major decision in a family. However, there are instances of matriarchal societies in India, that is the Khasis in Meghalaya, which is in northeastern India. Then we have the Nayars of Kerala in South India. So there are instances of matriarchal society where you have the women having what is called a major influence on the decision making. Inheritance is passed on through the female line and so on. Families are essential in preserving and transmitting cultures. So family is the basic unit of society. It is family who are essential in preserving and transmitting cultures. Then we have what is called the traditions, beliefs, ideas, value systems of persons are nurtured by the family into which she or he is born into. So family is a very important part of the society. Then marriage. We have been discussing what are the different values which exist in Indian culture, what are the different components which exist in Indian culture. We have talked about religion, we have talked about society, that is family, in the form of family, where we have said family is a basic unit of society. Then now let us talk about marriage. Marriages in India are mostly arranged by parents. However, marriage in which men or women choose their own partners are still not so popular. In Indian society today, in spite of this phase, this particular age of the technological age, when we say that there is so much of technology which are widespread, which has become so popular, in spite of all this, marriages in India are still arranged by parents. This is a very unique feature of Indian culture. We have seen, in spite of a lot of people being educated, maybe going to different parts of the world because of their job and so on, in spite of that, when it comes to marriages, arranged marriages is still very popular compared to choosing your own partners, which are still not so popular. We can see that most of the marriages in India today is arranged by parents, which is why you see that a lot of people feel that arranged marriage is the best for the children. This is what the parents feel, and arranged marriage, which is because of which arranged marriage is still very popular. In Indian culture, individuals marry into a family and there is a great bonding of families rather than just a bonding between two individuals as in the Western culture. So this is another uniqueness of Indian culture. When we talk about marriage, you are married into a family. You are not just married to your husband, you are married into a family where your husband has his parents, has his siblings, has his cousins and so on. So you are married into a family. You are not just an individual who gets married to another individual, but you share a great bonding of families when you move into your husband's family. The newly married couple enters into an extended family, like I said, and the bride sets up her new home with the in-laws. So when we talk about Indian culture, it is still a patriarchal society where the woman gets married and she leaves her parents' home and she goes into her husband's home and she sets up her home with the in-laws. Religious rituals are integral part of the marriage ceremonies, and the wedding itself is an elaborate affair with much feasting and celebration. If you see the celebrations, the wedding celebrations of Indians, we see that there is a lot of festivity, there is a lot of celebration, there is a lot of feasting which takes place, a lot of arrangement takes place for marriage, and then we see that religious rituals are a very integral part of the marriage ceremonies. Then we have a very unique component of Indian culture, which is festivals. Festivals in India are celebrated almost throughout the year. Most have religious significance, and prayers are an essential part of any festival. Festivals also involve the meeting of families and friends, eating meals together. The women of the family prepare delicacies which all enjoy. And when we talk about these festivals, India is such a large country with so much of diversity in language, in religion, in festivals. You have celebrations, festivals which are celebrated like the Durga Puja, Dussehra, Diwali, Ganesh Chaturthi. You have your Pongal, Onam, Holi, your Eid, Christmas, Guru Nanak Jayanti, and so on. Celebration of different festivals with the members of different communities enables one to experience the diversity of Indian culture. When we talk about festivals, it is not a festival which is celebrated by just one religion or just one religious community. We have seen so much of people who are from different religion celebrating other religious festivals coming together, and there is this very uniqueness of bonding with each other during these festivals. Then another component of Indian culture is food and clothes. In India, food is valued from childhood, and the parents usually train children not to waste food and share it with friends and family. Delicacies are prepared on festive occasions, and these vary in different regions. So you have in South India, there would be a particular cuisine which is eaten, which is popular. Then when we come to the northern part of India, you have particular cuisine which is popular. Then you have the eastern part of India, then you have the western part of India. So you have food which are unique according to the different regions of the country, the east, the west, the north, and the south. And one of the uniqueness of Indian culture is that you feed the hungry and the poor, which is part of an important feature of the major religions of India. Individuals and charity organizations offer feeding programs for the poor, and also the birds and animals are also, Indians also feed the birds and the animals. You have a lot of religious communities organizing feasts, giving food to the poor and the needy during religious festivals, and also a lot of charitable organization which organize feeding programs for the poor. When it comes to clothes, each state has its different style. For men, traditional clothes are the dhoti kurta, the kurta pajama, etc. However, in the northeastern states, men and women dress in the traditional clothes which are very colorful and have many different patterns. Clothes in India are associated with tradition, diversity of culture, and family pride. So when we talk about India, you have in South India particular way of dressing which is particular to South India. You have the western, you have the northern, the eastern part of India, where there is this uniqueness to the style of clothes, the pattern of clothes which you wear. When we talk about music and dance are of many types depending on the region. They are an integral feature of festival celebration, and they bring people together. The classical dances are different from state to state. They are unique from state to state. The most famous dances according to the India's National Academy of Music, Dance and Drama are Bharatanatyam, which is from majorly which has originated and which can be identified with the state of Tamil Nadu. Then you have Kathak, which is northern India. Then Satriya, Assam. Kuchipudi, Andhra Pradesh. Then you have Kathakali from Kerala, Mohiniyattam, Kerala. Then Manipuri from Manipur, and Odissi, which is from Orissa. So these are the famous classical dances, and these are from different region of the country, but then they are popular throughout India. I am just talking about some of the very few classical dances which are famous and popular. There are a lot many other dance forms which are popular as well. Then we have the folk dances which are unique from region to region, and they are closely related to daily life and based on food gathering, harvesting, rites, rituals and beliefs. So you have certain dances like the Bihu, which is a folk dance, which is a particular part of India, that is Assam, which celebrates the Bihu dance. Then you have when you have in Punjab, Lohri, which is celebrated, and so on. So folk dances are also related to the harvests, and also there are a lot of religious ceremonies which are attached to these folk dances and which are performed. Language and literature. Language is a key component of culture. It is the medium through which effective communication takes place. Language is very important because it is first learnt in the family and then formally developed in school. Knowledge of the mother tongue is vital because without it, culture and tradition would not be transmitted. So when we talk about language, language is a very important tool of communication between members of the society. We have so many regional languages in India. Then we also have what is called the mother tongue. That is, for example, a particular person from a particular region of the country will have a mother tongue. That is the language which is spoken in his or her family. And the importance of mother tongue is very vital because it is through this mother tongue culture and tradition are transmitted. Some of the important writers, when we talk about literature, we have a lot, many very popular as well as very prominent writers. When we talk about the field of literature, we have Rabindranath Tagore, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Then you have Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, you have Munshi Premchand, you have Muhammad Iqbal, Devki Nandan Khatri. Then we have in modern India famous writers like Girish Karnad, Indira Goswami, Mahashweta Devi, Amrita Pritam. Then we have T.S. Pillai, Vikram Seth, Arundhati Roy and so on. So when we talk about literature also, we have a wide range of talents in the field of literature. Then when we talk about the values, the Indian constitution, different components of the Indian culture, it is very important to talk about the national symbols in India which represents the Indian culture and tradition. And which are these national symbols which represents the Indian culture? These are your national symbols, which are the national flag of India, the national bird, which is the peacock, the national flower, the lotus, the national tree, which is the fig tree, the national anthem, which is Jana Gana Mana. Then you have the national river, which is Ganga, the state emblem, which is the lion pillar of Ashoka with Satyameva Jayanti inscribed on it. So why are these national symbols so important? These national symbols are very important because they represent the Indian culture and tradition. They symbolizes unity, truth and patriotism. These are the uniqueness of our Indian culture, which is represented in the form of our national symbols. Then in the field of Indian art and architecture, traditional Indian art and architecture has its unique feature, and also it is enriched by the assimilation and absorption of many foreign influences. That you have the Buddhist Ajanta and Ellora paintings, which are the earliest surviving examples of ancient Indian art. Then you have what is called the Madhubani painting, the Mysore painting, Rajput painting, Tanjore painting and a lot more. So when you talk about art and architecture, language, literature, India has so many diverse languages which are spoken, a wide range of talent in the field of literature, beautiful art and architecture which defines the uniqueness of Indian culture. Then when we talk about Indian architecture, we have to talk about, it is very important to talk about the urban Harappan civilization, which had its advanced town planning. You had the Great Bath, the Great Cannery, the Bronze Dancing Girl, and so on. Then we also have ancient architectural marvels such as the Ashoka Pillar, the Sanchi Stupa. Then you have the Amravati School of Art, Iron Pillar, the Konark Sun Temple, Meenakshi Temple of Madurai, and so on. So you have these as the very uniqueness of Indian culture, which was existing, which was established, which was built long ago, but then you still have these existing in Indian society today. You can see these architectural wonder which is existing in India today. So in today's class we have talked about what is society, we talked about family, we talked about religion, we talked about food, we talked about festival, art, architecture, language, and also we talked about the national symbols which brings about unity, which defines the very fundamental unity of us as Indians. So with this I have completed week 5 section 2 of BEDS 001. Thank you so much.